and listeners. Welcome back to the Who Are You to Lead Anyway podcast. I am Cynthia Jamieson, your host and your guide. Before we begin today, if you are a new and emerging or even a leader who still wants to master the skills that you need to navigate leadership and life with more ease and less angst, I want to invite you to join me at the Leadership Lens, which is where we will be doing this work. So if it happens that this is the first time that you're joining me, you might want to listen to episode 42, where I unveil the program and all of the details. And if you are not new to me and my work and you're ready to work with me, see the show notes for details. Get your applications in and be sure to take advantage of Founders pricing before September the 12th. Come join us in the community, and our first live coaching call is September 20th at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time. All right, now that I've said that, welcome to episode 46, where I am excited to introduce you to a powerful tool that I believe will transform the way that you approach your career growth. So for those of you who are vying for that next level promotion, I think you are in for a treat. I want to talk about how you can supercharge your career. And so let's get started. So I know that if you are listening to this podcast, you have your sights set on that next level promotion, or you're really eager to make a significant stride and a difference in the current role that you are in. And the question that you might be asking yourself is, what are the skills that I need to get there where you're going? So I'm glad you asked, because that's exactly what we're going to be exploring today. And there are 5 steps that we will cover, and I'm going to go over each one. And then at the end, there will be some actionable steps that you can take. So the first one is mapping your core skills. So if you could imagine, just let me see. Imagine you are in the car perhaps, and safety first. So you can listen to this and then come back to it later. Or if you happen to have a piece of paper available to you, just grab that piece of paper and draw a circle that fills the entire page. And then within that circle, I want to have you create 8 segments, which we will use for all intents and purposes to highlight core skills. Now, if you're unsure about what these core skills are for that next level promotion, that's okay. Don't worry. That's nothing that a bit of research won't solve for you. Once you have identified the skills specifically that are crucial for the role that you are aspiring to, that will set you apart and set you up for success, I want you to label each of these 8 areas with each individual skill. That is step 1. Step 2 is evaluating your effectiveness. So this is where you take a scale from 0, which is the center of the circle that you've drawn, to 10, which is, imagine, the best that there is from a skill perspective, and it is the outside of the circle. And I want you to think about rating your effectiveness within each of those skill areas. Now, the key here is to be honest with yourself. Trust your intuition and use the first number that pops into your head. The goal here is increased self-awareness, not self-judgment. This is not about beating yourself up. This is not about comparing yourself to someone else. This is about you assessing where you believe your effectiveness is for each of these skills. That's step number 2. Step number 3 is visualizing the skill wheel. So actually taking a look at it. Now that you have your wheel and your self-assessment for your effectiveness in each area, just draw a line across each skill area, connecting to the score that you gave yourself. So if you could imagine, if you've given yourself a 9 in one skill, that's closer to the outer side of the circle. If you've given yourself a 2 in another skill, that's closer to the inner side of the circle. And those lines would be proportionate. And I want you to connect the dots, just like you might have, perhaps I might be dating myself here, but you might have in grade school, the connect the dots, and just connect the dots. And the reason why this is important is this is a visual representation that gives you a clearer picture of your skill distribution. So that is step 3. Then step 4 is identifying your own growth priorities. So when you take a step back and you look at the wheel, you just notice, and if it's useful to you, just imagine taking yourself out of the process. You're just looking at it, you're just observing it. Notice any patterns that you see. So, for instance, some skills could be high, others might be lower, and this is where some of the first shifts in awareness can happen. So you might want to ask yourself, if this were a wheel on my bicycle, what is the ride like from a skill perspective? Is it pretty bumpy? Or are perhaps your skills in the mid range? Then, if so, either case, bumpy or mid range, ask yourself, what would fully mastering this skill to the level of a 10 in your mind's eye look like? And then just explore or brainstorm some ideas, some strategies for how you could grow your skills in each of those areas. Once you've done that, consider which skill you might like to improve first and why. And which skill are you avoiding potentially and why? And just notice, again, no judgment. All of this is in service of your growth. And finally, consider if there's any support that you might need, perhaps from a mentor, from your leader, from a coach, or someone that you trust to help you in nurturing these skills. So that's step number 4. Step number 5 is prioritizing and taking action. So, which skills do you think are the most important for your career growth? Rank them from the highest to the lowest. For each skill, I want to invite you to identify one actionable step that you can take to enhance or grow your skill. Remember, even small steps over time make and create progress. And they are more sustainable versus a wholesale change. This exercise is designed to help you pinpoint 1 to 3 actionable steps you can take to close skill gaps that can help you become promotable. So now I want to talk a little bit about, well, that was step number 5. I want to lean into how you can expand this tool to make it work for you. So you can really tailor this tool to address any specific areas of development that you are focusing on. You can actually use this with your team. You could have them do a self-assessment. If you happen to have behaviors within your organization and you want to get a sense of where you fit, or you want your team member to have a sense of where they fit, you can use this tool to do this as well. Perhaps you have received some feedback on needing to improve your executive presence. I have a lot of clients that come to me for this. So you can apply this same tool to all of the elements which contribute to or make up executive presence. You can do the same for presentation skills or effective meetings or setting clear expectations or work life balance. The list goes on, and I'm sure you get the idea. So, the point is, this is a very simple and effective tool that clarifies your next steps and allows you to take charge of your career. Another thing that this tool does is it gives you the opportunity to check in on a routine basis with what has shifted, what has changed for you. So, as you work on your skills, the self assessment that you have will increase if you have been spending focused time on that. So that's another way that you can do that. I use this particular tool to balance my life. I've talked about that in a previous episode known as the Wheel of Life. This is the exact same tool, just repurposed in a very different way. And I pull it out and take a look at it every quarter. And the one that and I just look at the shifts and the changes and think about what are the tweaks that I want to make. 1 to 3 different things, very small shifts. So, as I wrap up today's episode, I want to remind you this tool can be your compass, guiding you toward growth and success by increasing your self awareness. Insights from tools like these are stepping stones on the way toward the destination. Wherever it is that you are going in your professional life, in your personal life, you can use these tools. And if you have any questions or need any guidance or clarification, don't hesitate to reach out. The purpose of this podcast is so that I can support your leadership growth. So I want to thank you so much for joining me on this transformative episode of Who Are You to Lead Anyway? If you enjoyed today's content, don't forget to subscribe and leave a review. It would make my day to hear that, to read that. And until next week, keep thriving, keep learning, and keep leading. I'll see you next week. Bye. Hey, listener, it's Cynthia. I want to say thank you for joining this incredible expedition of self discovery and leadership growth as a listener of the Who Are You to Lead Anyway podcast. I hope you've enjoyed the tips, tools, insights, and conversations with my remarkable guests so far. If you want to take your leadership journey to new heights, join my newsletter where you'll receive exclusive updates, bonus content, and valuable resources to support your ongoing development as a leader. See the show notes for the newsletter sign up. As a token of my sincere appreciation, I want to offer you a complimentary self discovery workbook designed to raise your awareness around what might be in your way of even greater success. To claim it, simply head over to my website. I'll put that link in the show notes www.cynthiajamesoncoach.ca. Sign up and your workbook will be delivered right to your inbox. And there is something I would love to ask of you. Your feedback is an incredible gift and is an important part of this community. I really want to know what topics resonate most with you, what guests you'd like to hear from, and how I can serve you better. Your ratings, reviews, thoughts, and feedback will guide me in tailoring future episodes to give you more of what you want and need on your leadership journey. So if you're loving the Who Are You to Lead Anyway podcast, your input means the world to me, and it helps me shape an even more enriching and impactful podcast for you. I would really appreciate your help in spreading the word about the work that we're doing here. Once again, thank you so much for being part of my podcast family and for investing in your leadership growth. Remember, leadership starts with knowing yourself and embracing your unique abilities. Together, let's continue to thrive as authentic and influential leaders. Thank you so much for listening.